All right, how's everybody doing? We're gonna get started with our career prep workshop. So I'm gonna let you guys sit down. Okay. So my name is Surya Masterson, and I am the career advisor at V-School right now. I've been doing this I've been with V-School for about 5 years, and I've been doing this role for about 3. It's really fun. And okay, second day of class, just getting my bearings. Let's start off by just kind of, sorry, I got a little ahead of myself because I thought of a couple things that I wanted to mention. So first off, I work part-time. So I work mostly from home, and then I come in on Wednesdays, and I'm here Wednesdays for 10 hours, I guess 8 hours. And then, so Wednesday's kind of the day that you guys can meet with me in person if you'd like. I'm also available the other days of the week if you want to do a phone call or talk on Slack or do video chat. My role at V-School is to kind of prepare you guys for the job search. And kind of what I've done is I've designed this curriculum. It's about, we go through about 11 parts during the course itself. And my goal right now is to kind of get you, again, prepared and try to get a few things out of the way so that when you finish the course, all that's left to do is update your resume, get your projects live, and then you can start applying. So, for example, today we'll be talking about networking and how to get involved with that. I have a ton of resources I put together for you. Next week we'll talk about resumes. Then we'll talk about LinkedIn the week after that. And then as we move through the course, we'll even go deeper into how to look for jobs online. A lot of people don't know how to do that because we don't do that every day, and it changes all the time. We'll talk about how to contact people at a company and submit our resume to an actual person there, how to figure out their email, and how to freelance. We'll talk about interview prep. A lot of that stuff will be near the end of the course, but that's kind of what I put together to help you guys and as just kind of some side materials to make your job search a little bit easier. And then after the program, you'll be meeting with a career advisor on a regular basis just to check in and see how things are going with you in your job search. I currently meet with students about once a week. So we'll do like a phone call or video chat or whatever works for you. And my goal is mostly just to be kind of a coach and support to you. So I check in with students. I say, hey, what'd you do this last week? How's it going? And kind of based on what's going on, we kind of move forward from there. So for example, I had a student that wasn't getting he had been sending out apps and wasn't getting any responses. So we, reviewed his LinkedIn and his resume again, and I made some suggestions, and he got more responses the next week. So that was great. I have other students that they're getting lots of responses, but they're not getting past that first interview. So then maybe what we need to do is do some more interview practice. And so we focus on that. So again, my goal is to kind of just be that resource and help you guys kind of figure out how you can improve your job searching and I guess just have better results. Ultimately, you guys are the ones that are selling yourselves and sharing what you know and showing off your stuff and what you learn at V-School. But I provide you with the tools to kind of get there and things to think about. Because job searching can either be you applying to jobs for a year and hopefully getting someone to call you back, or you can approach it with a strategy. So customizing your resumes, contacting people, networking, talking to people, working on additional projects, and presenting those to people, paying attention to how many apps you're sending out, looking at other resources for applying to jobs. Not all jobs are posted online, and actually most jobs are filled before they're posted online. So we'll talk about how to hear about those jobs, and a lot of that's through networking. We'll be going into that today. And then another thing that I do as well is I put together a couple tours that we do at the beginning of the course and the end, where we go and visit a few companies in the area, tech companies. And my goal behind that is just to give you guys an introduction to different ways that different companies run. We usually talk with some developers from the company afterwards. We'll do like a tour. It makes them feel good about themselves. And then, and sometimes they give you free stuff. And then we'll talk to the developer. You can ask questions. Sometimes they show us their code base. And it's kind of fun too, because I usually bring the senior and the junior class together. So the senior class will usually have more questions, and you guys will be like, I don't know what's going on. But then when you do your second round of tours at the end of the course, you'll realize how much you've learned and how much you understand. And it's kind of a nice morale booster and getting you excited for getting out there and searching. So that's kind of just a recap on what I will be doing with you guys. And you're welcome to reach out to me anytime. If you want to start working on your resume now, awesome. Let's get together, reach out to me, and we can set up a time. If you ever get to a point in the course where you're like, I need to focus on learning to code, and job searching is something I'm gonna have to take a break on right now, that's okay. My goal is not to stress you guys out. It's to give you resources for those of you that are able to kind of get on top of this now to make your job search faster down the line. So, but your most important thing during these next 12 weeks is just to learn how to code. Because if we don't know how to code, we can't find jobs. So, don't be afraid to, take a step back, keep communicating with your instructors. Things will get hard. It's a boot camp. You're learning a ton of stuff. You're going through 540 hours of curriculum in 12 weeks. Most people only attend 3 hours of class a week for college. So keep that in mind too. And then that's pretty much it. So before, I'd like to have you guys introduce yourselves since I wasn't here yesterday. But before we do that, does anyone have any questions for me? Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yep. And if you haven't been added yet, you can actually join it yourself as well if you'd like right now, by just clicking on channels and typing in career prep. And it's an open channel. I just haven't added everybody yet. And then if you click on it, it'll ask, do you want to join this channel? And it'll let you right in once you say yes. Yeah, I don't automatically add everybody to it because I don't want usually new students that are still working on their pre-course work get wrapped up and start asking me questions. And I'm like, you need to focus on preparing to get into the class. So that's kind of my way of hiding this information. Cool, but I will add you if you haven't been added yet. You can also join here. I started adding people and then I got pulled into a quick meeting. Great question. Any other questions? Okay, yeah. Yeah, so what you'll want to do is just reach out to me on Slack, just through a direct message. So you'll click the plus sign. My name again is Surya Masterson, and then you can just start a conversation. Just say, hey, I wanted to get together, and we can kind of go from there and figure out times. Yeah, so that'll be the best way to reach me. The career prep channel for your guys' information is where I'll be posting all the links to the content that we'll be going over each Wednesday. So if you ever lose that, you can find it here. It's also all available in the coursework blog. So where all of your guys' lectures are, coursework.vschool.io. And if you click on menu and career, this will take you to all of the blog posts. There's still a couple more I'm adding because I'm actually moving my slides over to blogs. So keep an eye on it. If you'd like to jump ahead, you're welcome to start reading them. They're not really in a particular order here. So just FYI, but there will be an order that we'll be going through as a group. So excellent. Any other questions? Okay. All right. Well, let's get started by having you guys introduce yourselves. And so we'll go through the students in the class, and then I know we have some people online, so we'll have you guys go right after that. So if you could say your name, where you're from, and the last song you listened to on whatever device. So I'm Surya Masterson. I'm from Seattle, currently live in Provo. The last song I listened to was SOS by ABBA. So, and we'll go here.
Chris, I'm from Florida.
Country? Awesome. Yeah, cool. Thanks, Chris. Yeah.
My name's Renata. I'm from Springville. I listen to whatever.
Awesome. Cool. Renata. Sounds like you guys carpool. Okay.
My name is Jamil. Probably like 8 months.
Sweet. Okay.
My name is Sasha. I don't remember what
That's okay. Okay, Jamil, Sushant.
Park City. Last thing I listened to was Phoenix Black.
Awesome, Dylan.
Hey everyone, I'm Vlad. I'm from Hackensack, New Jersey, and the last song I listened to was ASAP Forever Remix.
Nice.
Hi, I'm Ray. I'm from Colorado Springs, and the last thing I was
Okay.
Hi everyone, I'm Julie Blair White. I'm from Salt Lake City, very local. The last song I listened to this morning was by Coldplay. It's called Viva La Vida.
Yeah, Viva La Vida. Yeah.
I'm Alexis. I'm from Riverton. And the last song I listened to was something by Fred Astaire on the
Oh, cool.
Gordy's channel. Acceleration.
Nice. That's awesome.
Hi everyone, I'm the other Chris. My name is Chris Kravich. I'm from Sacramento, California, and last thing I listened to was an insurance song called Tennessee.
I'm Gustavo. I'm from Santa Barbara, California, and the last song I listened to was Rock His Top Here, something like that, by Migos.
I'm Tucker. I'm also local. I'm looking at a day break. And the last song I listened to was OAN by Mother Mother.
Cool. All right.
My name is Michael. I'm from Los Angeles. And the last song that I listened to was
Okay. Cool. So new Imagine Dragons, Michael.
I'm Alex. I'm from Chicago, and last song I listened to was I don't know. I didn't get
Country. Cool. Nice. Two country guys.
I'm Sal from Massachusetts. I listened to Girl Talk last. I don't know what song.
Nice.
I'm Justin. I'm from Arizona. And the last song I think I listened to yesterday was The Sound of Silence by Signup.
Awesome. They're great.
Michael's from Salem, Oregon. The last song I listened to was Think Your Poison Out There.
Okay. Cool. All right. And then how about our students online? Your name, where you're from, and the last song you listened to.
So my name is Melissa Marie.
That's possible.
Can you guys hear me?
They can't hear us talking.
Yeah, you guys can't hear us at all?
So they can't hear us.
Yeah, we have our mics.
Oh yeah. You guys can hear me okay. Hey Melissa, would you like to introduce yourself? Are you able to?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Here, 1 second. I can hear you just fine, but it's these. Oh, here it is. Okay, go ahead.
So this morning I saw a friend, and it was the last piece saying from Fiddler on the Roof, the "If I Were a Rich Man."
So Melissa heard the "If I Were a Rich Man" this morning on Fiddler on the Roof. Awesome. Okay, Bud or Donna, are you able to introduce yourselves?
I'm in the library.
Hi, I'm Bud Stamper. I'm from Indiana, and the last thing I listened to was Immortalized by Disturbed.
Awesome. Thanks, Bud.
Donna said she's Donna Bradshaw from Thompson, Georgia, and the last song was And She.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thanks, Renata. Thank you, Donna. Thanks for posting that. All right. Oh, and she's still posting the song. Maybe. I don't know. We'll let you know. Okay. Thank you guys again. I try to remember all of your names. If you haven't already, please put a profile picture on your Slack profile. So that helps me a ton. Yes, yeah. So if you haven't done that, put a picture up there. Just helps us know who you are. Great. So we have a great group. People from everywhere, lots of different song preferences. So that's cool. It kind of helps you learn more about a person. Okay. All right. Well, we will get started. So we're going to be talking about networking today. And kind of what that is, and then a ton of resources that I've put together for you guys. So to get started, who can tell me what networking is? What's networking? Connecting with individuals for a job. Awesome. That's a great way to look at it. Anything else? Like, what is a network?
Gathering connections for different things.
Okay, so connections for different things. So connections, maybe like people that are connected to each other, you mean? Or
People in different ways.
okay.
Or different things.
Cool. So any connections we have with people, I guess maybe this would be a definition of social network. I should have said that. Chris.
Finding resources that are connected, that like one resource or one point has a resource that we can eat.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so like even, so that reminds me of like second and third connections. So like knowing one person, just because they're not a developer doesn't mean they don't know someone who's a developer or has access to X resource that you might need. Renata. Yeah, an establishment of connections. Excellent. And thank you. Great. This is great. So again, networking is all about connecting with people. It's a great resource for finding work. There are a lot of things within a network that you might not see from the forefront. And I'd say the number one thing I'd like you guys to get away with or take away today is networking right now is just about building relationships with people. So don't worry about getting a job. Right now, it's just about making friends and connecting. Because one of the biggest mistakes that a lot of people make, and there's like videos all over the internet about it, they go to an event, they meet someone. Hi, I'm Surya. I'm a developer. I'm looking for work. Do you know of anything? And you know the relationship kind of ends there because the person either they do or they don't, and then you know there's nothing more to talk about. And chances are the first time you do talk to someone, they don't have a connection yet. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't keep talking to them because you never know what connections they might have down the line or who they know or who even they know. So one thing I've kind of put together in here, and these blog posts, so we go through kind of a lecture workshop in the class, and then everything is also written in these blog posts in case you'd like to review anything. It's kind of written out, I guess, in blog format. So anyway, okay. Let's see. Okay, cool. Sorry, I got a little lost. So again, a lot of times we go to events and we just, you know, try to get into this role of just saying like, hi, I'm Surya, what do you do? Awesome, where are you from? Awesome. Which is great, it's a great way to get started, but a way that you guys can actually build more meaningful relationships is to go a little deeper and just try to get to know that person and find any way that you connect. So like, example I always give is maybe you both like horseback riding and you can talk about that. It doesn't have to be about coding right now. Right now it's just building a relationship and finding those ways to connect with each other. Another thing about networking that I've learned I found really useful, it's more about what you can give to them rather than what they can give to you. Because if I'm able to help somebody else, our relationship and bond grows stronger instantly versus me just asking people for stuff. This doesn't mean we won't get to a part where we will start asking people for help, but when we've just met, it's a more comfortable situation to kind of more talking about how you can help them. So going back to the horseback riding example, you find out you both like horses, you have your own ranch, you say, hey, you should come, you know, riding with me sometime, and then you actually make an actual plan to do that, and it happens, you know, and then that friendship starts forming and becoming something real. An example that I have an example of how how a relationship started between me and a friend. So I was volunteering at a local meetup for Girl Develop It, and one of my co-leaders invited somebody who was a contact to teach a class for us, and we all met there. He was a cool person. We kept in touch and just became friends. He actually ended up working for V-School for a little bit, and you know, and then later on, I continued to help him out with some of his projects that he was doing. And so that's kind of how our friendship started. It wasn't anything about like work or anything like that. And so through that relationship, he actually introduced me to the field of security. So that's actually what I study in my spare time. I'm really interested in security and Linux and stuff like that. And so anyway, it's kind of just a relationship where I didn't go up to him and say, hey, Victor, you do stuff with Linux. I'd like to learn Linux. It was more just like, oh, this guy's really smart. He knows Linux. Cool. I want to, support him and become his friend. And then we, a relationship started. And actually, I didn't even know that I wanted to do security until we just ended up talking about it one day. And now he and his wife have actually become really good mentors of mine and have been leading me, down my 10-year plan to get into networking. So, but anyway, so that's just kind of like a example of how, this relationship started. You can call it friendship. So a lot of times relationship sounds like a romantic term. But I mean, relationships just apply to people connecting and having, I guess, emotional connections. I don't know. But anyway, so that's just one example of how, a friendship started and became a really useful resource and tool. Like through him, I've been able to connect with a ton of other people, and I volunteer at security conferences now and have other contacts, and have been like learning how to, build my own Internet of Things devices and stuff. Just because he came to our Girl Development Meetup to teach us how to take apart computers. And then I ended up volunteering with him and his wife for the conference that he runs. So, try to help. And I guess the example from that of me sharing my resources, I took my time to try and just help these people without knowing what would happen. So, any questions about, the concept of building relationships or how to meet people? We didn't really totally go over that yet, but any comments on that? Or how do you guys meet people or go about it? You don't? Okay, we'll talk about that.
Friends of friends.
Friends of friends? Okay.
Or, friends of family, something like that. Someone always works for, works for a bunch of different companies. Generally someone that they know, they at least provide you with opening, potential opening of within a company that's kind of really, like showcasing yourself, but for a while, that was kind of what I wanted. That's the trade.
Awesome. Remind me your name again. What was your name again?
Alex.
Alex. Okay, cool. For you guys online, Alex was talking about how he's made a lot of connections through friends of friends and even friends of family members. And it sounds like you've used that resource just to be introduced to people and has led to potential job opportunities. Awesome. That's a great way to approach it. I mean, even just one thing I like to ask people is, do your friends and family even know you're taking this class? Do they know that you are working to become a web developer right now? If they don't know, I mean, that's your current social network. Make sure they do. Post it on Facebook, because that'll get their minds, their wheels turning. Oh, okay, so, Michael's doing development now. I know a friend that does websites. That's cool. Maybe I should connect them. Because you really don't know who knows who. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
I have a super fun example. Like 3 weeks ago, after I finished maybe more than 3 weeks ago, I finished a pre-course project, and I posted on Facebook that I was going to attend this school. And someone private messaged me and said that his dad and he have a software company on the East Coast, and they'd love to take on an empire when I finish. So
that's awesome. That's cool. So you guys online, Chris Predovich was talking about how he posted on Facebook that he was taking this class, and a contact reached out to him privately about potential job afterwards. So that's awesome. That stuff happens all the time. You never know. So that's one thing that you guys can be doing now. If you haven't told everybody yet that you're doing this class, make sure you do, because you don't know who knows who. Another thing, some people, we get into this class, and I used to have people talk about how they found out about vSchool, because a lot of times we'll think to ourselves, well, I don't have any technical connections, like this is going to be really hard. But think about how you heard about vSchool. A lot of times it was through a friend or family, or maybe not vSchool in general, but just boot camps or learning to code. Maybe you saw it posted somewhere by one of your friends online. And that's your technical connection, like already right there. Start thinking about what that person does and how they might be able to help you. Great. So let's kind of move on. I want to talk to you guys about meetups. Is anybody familiar with meetups? Does anyone know what those are? Renato, what's a meetup?
It's a website that you can actually join different groups, and then people will post within those groups or create their own group. And you can get notifications when a new meetup has been sent. They'll have a date and a time or description of what they want to do during that meeting.
Yeah.
And then you're free to message that person and join and go be part of whatever meeting that is. And I mean, literally, there is everything. Like, everything.
Yeah.
There's religious to, you know, like how to do cryptocurrency. Like, there is a lot of stuff. I've met up with DMV groups, and so there's lots of different meetups.
It's awesome. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. So meetups, again, are it's a website online, meetup.com, and it's a place where you can go, you can sign up. I recommend signing up. It's free, and connect with other people of like interests and go to events with them. So that's cool that Meetup exists. Before Meetup existed, developers and nerds alike have been doing this forever on their own. When I first started working here, it was all about the Google groups and the email lists. Now those have kind of died because Slack has come into play and Meetup. But a user group basically is just people that use a certain technology. So there's like the Python user group. And that's, you know, they would go to get together to talk about Python, share new, you know, things that they've been learning, things they've been working on. And anyhow, all of this stuff is now available on meetup.com, which is awesome. And the cool thing about that is it makes it a lot easier to search for local meetups in your hometown. And it makes it easier to join them. It also makes it easier to hear about new ones. So I would recommend creating an account if you haven't already. It's meetup.com. And when you do create an account, it'll ask you for some of your preferences. And when new groups come up that you might be interested in, you'll get notifications on that. The next thing I would recommend, so I know that not all of you are from Utah, but I have put together a list of all the tech meetups in Utah. And as you can see, there are a ton of them. And I would recommend attending them while you're here because you never know who knows who. I have a friend that she attended a boot camp up in New York. She had a roommate there. She's from Utah. And the roommate actually had a contact at Ancestry.com. The roommate's not from Utah, and connected her with an interview down here when she got back. So again, you never know who knows who. So I would, and if anything, just to kind of get some experience, especially if networking and being in groups of people makes you nervous. And we'll talk more about that too. But here on this, in this blog post I put together, you know, as many user groups as I can find. I try to update this as often as I can. I've organized it by topics. Just because you're learning JavaScript doesn't mean you should only go to the JavaScript meetup. If you're interested in another topic, start going to their meetup. That's a great way to start learning a new technology. A lot of times they'll do workshops. A lot of times they're just talks and presentations. There's usually food, but there's a little bit of everything. So if you're interested in blockchain, Internet of Things, etc., these are some cool groups. There's a bunch of general topics. So if you know, are interested, these meetups will go over a little bit of everything. Data, Drupal, Java, JavaScript, and JS frameworks. There's even individual groups for each framework. So there is a React group here. Our Utah JS group is awesome. We got Node, Linux. Makerspaces are really cool. Does anyone know what a makerspace is? Awesome. Tucker, can you tell us about what a makerspace is?
Yeah, so it's where people get together, they say, hey, we'd like to make these stuff, we're not tools, so they rent out a space, get a bunch of tools in there, sign up for memberships. When I was down in Dallas for a while. One there, they had like a metalworking area, a woodworking area, they had CNC machines, they had 3D printers, they had a giant huge plotting machine with 15-foot wide banners.
Cool.
And it's just, you pay for the materials you use and you pay for the to get it. And it's 24/7 access.
That's awesome. Yeah. So yeah, basically just a place where you can make things, and it's a common place where people go to, you know, build tools that work with code. You know, if you're going to be connecting hardware and software, so if you're fascinated by things like the Fitbit, that's just an example I always throw out there. But this could be a place where you can start learning about that, robotics, machine learning. So we have several makerspaces in Utah. There are several different mobile development groups. So if you're interested in that, .NET, lots of open source resources as well. So open source is any type of technology that's available to the public to edit and contribute to. Oracle, PHP, Python, Ruby, and then we have a variety of women in tech groups, and guys are totally welcome to those. But they wanted to create a place for women to be the majority because we're usually the minority. But anyway, this class has like 5 women, so that's cool. Excellent. So yeah, so I would just go and join all of these meetups, to be honest, because the nice thing about that is you'll get an email every week, usually on Monday, telling you what meetups are happening that week. So then you don't have to go and look it up. You already have your list, and you can make a commitment to go to one. And I would try to go to one every week if you can. You might get overwhelmed later on in the course, so maybe just try to do one a month at that point. But go and get your feet wet, see what's going on. Let's actually take a look at what the React user group's doing this week or this month. Each user group usually has one event a month. So the next meetup for React is actually next Wednesday. And let's see. It doesn't look like they have. Okay, cool. We're gonna have a couple lightning talks, and then okay, cool. So he's gonna be talking about accessible tables, how 5 minutes of work can spare screen reader users' sanity. Okay, cool. So a lot of people will do what's called a lightning talk at the beginning of the meetup. They'll kind of talk for 5 or 10 minutes about something that they built or something that was cool that they learned, and then they'll often have a main talk where someone will talk for about 30 minutes. They're not always talks though. Sometimes they are, and you'll want to bring your computer because a lot of times they have you follow along, et cetera, et cetera. Other cool thing about meetups I forgot to mention, they're most often held at a tech company. So it's a great way to go check out different spaces. The recruiters are usually there and introduce themselves in the beginning. At the beginning of meetups too, that's usually when a lot of people will mention jobs that their company is looking for, has openings for. And these are often jobs that aren't posted yet. So it's another reason to go. And every meetup's different. I've had students go to one meetup where they're like, it was boring. No one told me anything about jobs. And then go to another meetup and they're like, yeah, there's like 5 people there looking for employees. They're great recruiters. And so that's why you really got to keep going because it's different every time. And they have the location. There's often food again. And you can join that meetup and plan on attending. So this week, I would recommend, again, going through these. If anything, signing up for the ones that are interesting to you and creating that account. And so the goal being, these are places that you guys can go to instantly meet other tech connections and start building relationships. And I would, set the goal to just, a lot of times it helps to set a goal, especially because it's a little overwhelming. And it can be as simple as I'm going to meet one person and connect with them on LinkedIn. So, make a goal for yourself. And I have a lot of other resources on networking if you'd like to talk more about that. But focus just on, making friends, small talk, learning about them. Small talk is challenging for some people. In those cases, just focus on asking questions about them. So what do you like to do? What do you do for work? How many people are in your family? Until you find something that you guys both click on and that you have in common. Yes, Renata.
2 questions about LinkedIn etiquette.
Yeah.
If your friend adds a friend and it recommends it, are you allowed to add them as your friend?
LinkedIn etiquette. Okay, so if your friend adds you as a friend.
Another friend, because you're friends.
Okay.
So say you are there and your brother-in-law, who is in tech already, adds a coworker, and it pops it up as a recommended person that you might know. Can you add them, or is that like bad etiquette?
Okay, so should I add people that LinkedIn is recommending or I might have a contact in common with on LinkedIn? I would say yes. We'll talk more about LinkedIn in a couple weeks. Some people only connect with people they know, so they might not accept your connection. That's okay. Some people, I personally connect with anybody that is in my industry because my job is to try and find out about new companies and introduce them to you guys. So I would say, yeah, there's no problem. A good way too that you can increase your chances of them accepting your request is to send a message with it. So if you actually go to that person's profile and click connect there, it'll give you an option to send a little message, and you can say, hey, I'm Renata. You work with my brother-in-law. You know, this is how we're connected. I'm just trying to connect with people that work at XYZ company. So that way he's not like, I don't know who this is. Sure, we have this guy in common, but I still don't know who she is. Yeah, so that's a great way to go about it. Great question. Excellent. Another thing too, so we've mentioned, you know, some people don't like networking and meeting other people, and that's totally fair. If you might consider yourself an introvert, you know, whatever. I'm an introvert too. And you probably don't believe that. Or maybe you do, actually. Some people have come up and said, yeah, I can tell. But anyway, one of the cool things I've found, like tips for meeting people for me, is actually volunteering and giving talks myself at meetups. Because then I'm already up there in front of everybody. They already all know me. And if they're interested in me and what I have to say, they usually come up and talk to me afterwards. So then it kind of gets people to come to you. The sacrifice you're making, though, is you have to go up and talk in front of all those people, which can still be really challenging. A lot of people, though, who are introverts, find it easier to talk in front of a big group than one-on-one. So I don't know, it might work out for you. And then again, volunteering is another great way. You know, volunteer meetups always need help because they're just run by other people in the community. So you can go up to one of the leaders and say, hey, I'm trying to get more involved in the local community. Is there anything I can do to help out the Utah JS meetup? That's kind of how I got involved with Girl Development. I help out with that meetup. Or I also volunteer at a lot of conferences. We'll talk more about conferences at the end of this. So just two more topics. So Slack teams and conferences. So meetups are a great place to meet people in person on a regular basis. So on a weekly and monthly basis. Slack teams are a great way to meet people every day online. I've actually made a lot of great connections just through Slack alone. There's people that I know on Slack that I still haven't met in person, but we've worked on projects online together. And meetup groups and organizations are creating their own Slack teams now all over the world, mostly because it's free. So these again are mostly Slack teams in Utah. I have included a few international ones, but even if you just did a simple search, you know, maybe for Colorado, and just did, you know, Slack team, usually a few things start to pop up. So yeah, here's an iOS Slack group. So you can go and connect with other iOS devs. Denver devs, looks like there's a Denver dev Slack community. There's a startup community, WordPress, etc. So I would also start looking at your hometown, home state, and see what Slack teams are around. But this is a great way for you to start interacting with your community without being there until you get home. For those of you guys that are here in Utah and you guys that are here from out of state too, start joining these Utah Slack teams. The Utah JS Slack team has, the last time I checked, 1,400 members, which is awesome. There's a ton of different channels where people are having different kinds of conversations all the time. Every Slack team, or at least everyone I've looked at, has a job posting channel too. So this will be another great resource in the future for word of mouth jobs and jobs that are posted online. But anyhow, I would join these. So I've kind of described what different teams are about. There's also a Girl Develop It Slack team. If you'd like to join, let me know and I can send you an invite. It's just an invite only right now. And I'm happy to add any of you guys. So if you'd like to join, let me know. And then down here, I put together a few lists of international teams. So here are 46 Slack groups for developers, and I would just start perusing these. And I know I'm dumping a bunch of resources on you guys, and don't feel like you have to go through these all tonight. I might even make a goal. Tomorrow I'm gonna go through some of the meetups, like 4 of them, and check them out. The next time I'm gonna go through 3 Slack teams and check them out, see what I wanna be involved with. But my main goal today is just to show you guys how much information and how many resources are out there, and to inspire you to start taking advantage of them now, because it's only going to help you. Yeah, Renata.
If you don't necessarily go to the meetups, it's still worth being part of the community on Meetup.
So is it still worth being part of the community on Meetup if I don't go to meetups? You never know when a meetup's going to pop up that you might want to go to.
Yeah, I just have a hard time explaining things a little bit slowly with anxiety.
Sure. Yeah, so I guess it's up to you. If you don't think you will ever attend a meetup, then perhaps it won't be worth your time. But if you know, maybe there's something that's really cool that will get you out there, you know, and give you the desire to, you know, get past anything, I would still join, because you never know what's going to pop up. Yeah. I've seen cool stuff. I've seen events where like they've gotten cool people to come speak for free. Anyway, keep your eye out, because cool things happen. Great question. So anyhow, here is just another example of these are national teams, or excuse me, international Slack teams, people all over the world. So we got some on Java, functional programming, Python, Node, et cetera, et cetera. There's this one here just for people that want to learn code, general teams, mobile development, testing, et cetera. So there are a lot of resources out here. And don't be afraid, again, to join a team or attend a meetup that isn't JavaScript, because there are a lot of other technologies out there that you're going to learn and you'll want to learn. So it's a great way to learn about them. Another cool place, oh, and actually, sorry, let me rewind. And then what I would recommend doing once you've joined those Slack teams is to just like lurk for a while. Does anybody know what lurking is? Yeah, you're just kind of hanging out, reading what people are saying. You're not really responding or participating. That's okay. Like, do that. Check out the different channels. See if there's anything that's interesting to you. I'm part of a security Slack team, and I like to hang out in the lock picking channel. So I get to learn about new tools and stuff. So find what you're into, join those channels, and then you'll get notifications on them. And then, you know, you might see something pop up where, you know, so-and-so is working on X project and would love some help, and maybe you're interested. Or if you ever have any questions, Slack teams are a great place to ask questions. In a little bit, they'll be inviting you guys to the alumni Slack team for vSchool if they haven't already. And that is another great place to ask coding questions. People are helping each other all the time, grads and grads and vSchool staff. But anyway, that's another great resource. I've seen people helping each other on projects in there too. So yeah, just kind of do that to kind of see what's going on. And then you never know, something will pop up that you want to participate in or that you want to learn more about. A lot of times people will just have cool, interesting conversations about what they've learned, or I'm trying to build X and this is what it's doing. How can I fix it? And maybe you're having the same problem. So again, just kind of join so you can start listening and being involved and seeing what's going on out there. The Utah JS team also has a fairly active career talk channel where there's a couple local hiring managers that talk a lot in there and answer questions for people. So that's a place I like to read through every once in a while, just to get any other tips for you guys. But yeah, so just kind of hang out, lurk, and see what conversations are interesting to you. Last but not least, another place where all of us nerds like to get together are tech conferences. And in Utah, we're super lucky. We have tons of tech conferences out here, like a lot. When I go to try to help other people find conferences in their state, sometimes I can only find like 2, which is okay. You can still go to those. The downside, though, is the conference only happens once a year. Tech conferences, has anyone been to one before? Or really any kind of conference? Yeah, what can you tell us about conferences, you know? Okay.
Yeah, it was really cool. They had food trucks and a lot of great speakers. Overall, great experience.
Cool, GitHub Universe. So what was your goal behind being there?
Just absorbing as much information. I'm pretty new to the industry, so I just wanted to kind of acclimate myself in the industry by absorbing.
Awesome. Yeah, so just absorbing information, seeing what's going on. Totally. That's one of the great things about conferences. There's always tons of speakers on tons of topics. You can kind of choose what you want to go to. Conferences range anywhere from $25 to $1,000. It really depends on how big it is. Other cool things too, a lot of times we'll have workshops that are part of it where you'll come maybe the day before it starts and spend a whole day like learning Angular, for example. And that'll be kind of part of going to the conference, or maybe you pay an extra $50 for that. They'll have lots of cool speakers come. A lot of times they're, you know, popular developers talking about new technologies. There are also a lot of cool side events that they'll do depending on the type of conference. So I'll try not to talk about security so much, but it's so cool. But anyway, so I like security conferences, you know, we got our lock picking village. There was like the red versus blue team area where we're like just playing around with some new technology for hacking and avoiding hackers. Anyway, there's stuff like this at all the conferences. A lot of them will have like a badge that you build these days. So like it'll come with a Raspberry Pi and you can go and build some kind of cool technology and they'll have like a soldering station. And a lot of times people will show up the day before to build their badges before the conference. And then people will kind of trick out their own badges. And I mean, this is like where real nerds are. But you are one of us now, so this shouldn't be weird. Yeah.
Another thing that you can get from a conference as well is a boost of like just motivation.
Yeah.
Because you get in a room with a bunch of people and you get this vibe, and it's just like running a marathon. Like you seriously, when you're with everybody else, that's all excited and you just positive vibes everywhere.
Totally. Yeah, conferences are a great place to get motivation, especially if you fall into a minority group. Like I went to a conference a few months ago and they've been trying to, you know, get more women connected. So they put together this Women in Tech conference. And I actually had brought my daughter that day who's like 18 months old. And it was really cool because I was like, oh, there are other moms out there that are trying to do this and raise kids. Like this woman told a story about how she, you know, was nursing her 6-month-old, getting her master's and this one certification at the same time. And I was like, okay, I'm not weird. You know, that camaraderie's there and that exactly that, you know, that inspiration, I can keep doing this. There's other people like me, is really, really, really helpful and supportive. So, and you don't get those experiences unless you, you know, attend those events and start connecting with those people. So yeah, conferences are awesome. I've been to some that are one day. I've been to some that are 3, a whole week. And again, we have a ton here in Utah. I mentioned earlier that they cost anywhere from $25 to $1,000. One way, I've actually only ever paid for one conference, and that's because I usually volunteer. So if you volunteer for the conference, you can get in for free. To volunteer though, you'll want to keep an eye on the conference pages because that's usually when they post their need for volunteers. So this one happened back in June. It's Open West. And anyhow, so each conference has their own page. I would go and check it out, see what's, you know, what they posted about what happened at the conference to give you an idea. This is kind of the volunteer sign up page for Open West. Again, it's already happened, but to give you an idea of different things you might do as a volunteer, I mean, you don't even have to be an expert developer. I usually run audio and video because I have skills in that. You could just set things up, take things down, grab stuff for people via Gopher. You know, there's a lot of easy things you can do. Check people in, and we just need people to do that. So here again in Utah, Open West, which is an open source conference, so it kind of covers a little bit of everything. There's classes on a little bit of everything. NGConf is an Angular conference that happened a couple months ago. Utah JS Conf is actually coming up, and that's a Utah JavaScript conference, so that'll be in September on the 14th. So if you haven't checked that out yet, go ahead and do that. Early bird tickets are sold out. Let's see. I wonder if it's all sold out. I'll follow up on that. I don't think it's all sold out. I just think early bird tickets are sold out. If you buy a ticket earlier, it's often cheaper. So, but this is coming up in September. React Rally is coming up as well. So you guys are here at a great time because other students don't get this. So React Rally will be next month on the 16th and 17th. You can check out that. Oh, that one's sold out too. See, this is why, oh man. Yeah, people go to these. That sucks. I'll follow up on that and see if anybody else can like get us in. But anyway, there's tons of conferences going on. These will be starting up in the spring and going through next year. Actually, this one will be in the fall. SaintCon still has tickets. That's a security one. But anyhow, so yeah, conferences are happening all the time. They fill up fast. Sometimes they don't. So I was actually surprised right now. But React Rally, actually, this is like only the 3rd year of React Rally. So they're probably still getting a footing for how many people go. And JS Conf is only about like 4 or 5 years old too. So yes, we're not.
What do they do at React Rally?
So they kind of focus on React, just React as a framework. So it looks like we'll have a talk on Why is React not reactive?
So mostly just like seminars.
Yeah, that's what it looks like this one's about. Yeah, so mostly seminars. And it's true. The bigger ones will have everything that I've mentioned. The smaller ones sometimes will be more of like a seminar focused. So it looks like these are just going to be going deeper into React. Usually there's a few that you're interested in and a few that you're not. This one's on AI. This one's just on JavaScript. So conferences are also a great networking event. You know, like they're having a party at this one, eating together for dinner. Oh, and then one last thing I forgot to mention is conferences also usually have a sponsor area, which is a great place to just connect with recruiters and learn more about different companies that are sponsoring the conference. So, and to just make contacts there, which is cool. So another benefits of conferences. Conferences are also even more fun when you have people to go with. So that's why I guess that's another push to, you know, go to meetups, start connecting with people, so that when you go to conferences, you have people there with you. You can go by yourself too, but some people like to be in groups. Excellent. And again, these are just Utah conferences. There are conferences all over the world. So, you know, look at, there's actually, I think, a JavaScript conference webpage. Let's see. Oh, this is cool. Find your next tech conference. I haven't seen this before. I'll add this. Cool. So you can actually just go on here and look up all the different conferences in the world that are on this website. So this weekend, if anyone wants to go to Scotland JS, that's happening. This is cool. I'll add this to the blog post. But anyway, start looking at what's going to be happening in your home state and start making plans to attend something over this next year when you get home. Or even the state over. You know, lots of cool stuff are happening all the time.
I didn't know that the JavaScript study group is here.
Oh yeah, the JavaScript JS Learners Study Group does meet here on Saturdays. I think it's like every other Saturday.
Yeah, there's one coming up on the 1st.
Sweet. Okay, cool. So you guys can come this Saturday, and there'll be some people coming from the community that are just learning JavaScript. It's usually a pretty good meetup. As you get further in the course, it'll probably be a little too easy for you. Because I found students say like, it's not useful to me anymore. But at the beginning, it could be a great resource to just meet other people learning to code. Students come and study together. You guys are welcome here all the time. I know they probably told you this already, but I just want to reiterate that. You know, you have your Q fobs, come in here, study, hang out, eat snacks. Oh, I do not, and I will ask Shelby. But you should get those soon. So, unless I have been misguided. But, okay. All right, and you guys are also members of Impact Hub. So attend the events that are happening here too. That's another great way to network. You don't have to just go to tech events to meet tech people. And actually here at Impact Hub, we have a lot of entrepreneurs because it's a co-working space. And so there's a lot of people building a lot of cool applications that you can meet by just going to these events. So, all right. So yes, today was a huge brain dump, but take it in stride, you know, set some goals, just kind of go through a few of them. You don't have to join every single one. It's probably not humanly possible to attend every single one and go to V-School. But find some stuff that you're interested in, try to go. My last piece of advice is the first couple times you go to these meetups, they're gonna totally go over your head and you're gonna feel really stupid and like you don't belong and like, what's the point of my life? Those are real feelings. That's okay. Everyone feels that way the first time. I still do going to stuff. Like, this is a new thing. I don't know what they're talking about. Keep going. The more you go, the more it'll start to make sense. The more you go, the more people you'll meet. Remember too, that a lot of times they're talking about new technologies or new improvements to technologies. So everybody else in the room doesn't know what's going on either. That's why we're there. We're there to learn. So don't get discouraged. Keep going. Don't give up. And actually, we'll do that in a couple weeks. We'll actually be talking about imposter syndrome in a few weeks. If anyone wants to learn more about imposter syndrome, it's kind of when you feel like you're not good at what you're doing, or you focus more on your failures than your accomplishments, you're welcome to read through the imposter syndrome post beforehand if you'd like. Imposter syndrome is real. But anyway, we'll talk more about that. But if you ever start feeling like, why am I here? I'm a fraud. I'm not a coder. Everyone's going to find out. I just got lucky. That's imposter syndrome, and it's felt by people in actually all academic fields, not just development. So it's okay. Accept that feeling. Keep moving forward and focus on what you've been accomplishing. I would recommend too, creating a list, every Friday, write down what you learned this week. Like write down 10 things you learned that you didn't know on Monday. And that'll help you to see your own personal progress. Keep in mind too, that you guys have all come here from different backgrounds. So one person might be really good at everything and understand everything and, A, B, C, D. You're never going to get to that point in these next 3 months. And I don't say that to discourage you. It's just because so-and-so has already learned all this and they're going to just keep, or I guess I take that back. You can get to that point, but you're never going to catch up with Joe because Joe already came in with this much knowledge and Joe's going to leave with more. So don't compare yourself to the other people in class. Focus on your accomplishments and your progress. Because again, that's going to just make you feel, it's just going to make it harder for you to focus because you're going to be thinking that you're never going to make it. And remember too that every star developer, famous person, whatever, started out somewhere. Everybody was a baby once. Everybody was a child. We all had to learn somewhere. So that means you can get there too. That's what I mean by that. All right. Okay. So our workshops are not usually this long. Just so you know. Does anybody have any questions before I head upstairs? Yeah. A calendar of events. Yes. For Impact Hub, they're usually on their webpage. Let me see. Oh yeah. There's a chalkboard downstairs. Yeah. And there's, with the calendar on it. And then I know Impact Hub has an events page. Yeah, here it is. So you can check out their calendar. Looks like upcoming for July, there's a Mentor Monday event. Soul Lounge, that's always kind of fun.
So Ryan, how do they know we're members? So when you're online, it's like, join as a member.
Oh yeah.
So how will they recognize? Oh, got it.
Yeah, like they've actually never asked me. Hey Bob, how does Impact Hub know we're members? I think just say you're with B-School, right?
But you didn't like to log into their website.
Oh, the website. Oh, we never use their website, so I wouldn't worry about it. Yeah. Cool. Okay. Yeah, because I've never even used that either. So I guess it's just for booking stuff, the website. So you don't have to worry about that. Just show up. If anyone asks, just say I'm a B-School student, and they know that all of our students can go to stuff. So that was a good question. Any other questions? Okay. All right. So I'm going to go upstairs and teach a class up there, and then I usually just kind of work out here in this common area. So if you ever have a question, you're welcome to come talk to me. You can DM me on Slack. And again, I'm happy to meet with anybody if they'd like to get together anytime. So, alrighty. Well, I'll see you guys next week. Close all these.
Thanks, Ryan.
Yeah. No problem.
Nice. Does anyone need a 5-minute breather, or are we good to just keep going? Yeah, go for it. I'll take a minute here to get set up, and we'll start up in, yeah, let's make this 5.